So hey everybody, welcome to the show. This is Rec Systems, recsystems.com, online booking platform for recreational vehicles powered by AI. We've got our partner Marco, who's with us today. He specializes out in the field dealing with boat dealers, snowmobile dealers, and everything in between. And then we have Brad, who is the genius behind the whole thing. He specializes in being probably the best software architect on the planet, offers an AI stack and plenty of knowledge. I think today that Brad is going to go ahead and kick off with some of that knowledge so we can be informed of exactly how lucky we are to have somebody like Brad on board.
Thanks, Rob. Yeah, so I'm just gonna go through a few thoughts that I have about AI because the thing that I've seen is that there's AI is such a buzzword right now that people are, I feel like, sleeping on the technology because it's like, oh, it's just this, fun, cute thing. They might have used like ChatGPT and typed in, write me a poem, and that was the extent of them ever using AI, or maybe they're using it for writing an email or something like that. But for the most part, there is so much functionality coming down the pike. So one of the things that I just wanted to take a step back and the way that I think about AI is that AI is hugely beneficial for organizations, and especially for organizations that have a lot of manual tasks right now that are easily repeatable. And so there's three main benefits to AI that I tend to gravitate towards, and those are productivity. Obviously, productivity is through like automation and just making the overall organization more productive, which means just getting more stuff done in the same amount of time or less amount of time. So that's kind of the obvious one in terms of productivity or like the AI benefits. But the other one is growth. So when the employees and you and whoever is using AI frees up their time by not doing all these ridiculous tasks, it ends up freeing up the time to do better things with the business, because it's a common entrepreneurial trap where working in the business is so easy to do when, in order to grow a business, you need to work on the business. And so if you start employing AI throughout the organization, you're able to free up the time to work on the business. And when you work on the business, it just makes everything so much more productive. And so the final one that I think is my most exciting aspect of it is it AI will lead to more happiness. And so happiness comes from employees not doing redundant tasks, from the operators of the organization not having human error in terms of double bookings, or uh, all sorts of, like, maybe a missed waiver or a missed who knows what. Like, there's so many different areas where there's a chance for errors. And so that happiness piece, when we're not worrying about all that stuff, we can do better things because we weren't designed to sit and look at PDFs all day. Like, we want to be out, like, on the lake, or on a trail, or doing whatever we want to do. And so those are the three things. And so I just want to lead into, and then I'll pass the mic of, essentially, if you think about how AI works, is there are if you think of a factory floor, so there's machines that live all throughout the factory floor. Some might be running 24/7, some might be idle, some might require 5 employees, some just do their thing, some have a backlog, some are it's all over the place. And so as you look out, imagine yourself like standing on a nest above the floor. You're going to start to see some of the bottlenecks throughout the system. And there's going to be areas where there's low hanging fruit of where things are headed in. If we just cleaned up this one bottleneck, so many other things would be more efficient. And so if we take that concept of improving the throughput of a factory, but we apply it to our organization, there's so many different areas where, like, imagine all the PDFs that might need to be that are maybe like handwritten, and someone needs to go in and type them, or every time you have to answer a phone call and answer the question for the 30th time, or whatever those bottlenecks are for the organization. As you think of it as a factory floor of every single task that exists, you can start to see the low hanging fruit that comes from it. And so, to bring it back to rec systems, that's our whole goal of what we're building, is that all of these tasks that consume people's day just take up so much time, and it's a huge bottleneck through to efficiency of the organization. And so, as we identify these, it's really exciting where we can take it, because once those bottlenecks are gone, more bottlenecks might pop up, but they're going to be smaller and they're going to be new, and it now makes it more fun to start automating it. So that's the way that I think about the organization, and that's how we're building the software that is really from the second that someone wants to find a rental all the way to returning the keys and then renting it again. That whole cycle has a ton of bottlenecks in for organizations, and some of them are huge. And AI can replace all that. And we're on this mission to replace those bottlenecks with more, just more efficiency. So those
Yeah.
are my thoughts on automation. I got a bunch of additional thoughts, but I'll pass the mic to.
Yeah, Brad, those are all good points. Can we focus a little bit with the audience on over and beyond the bottlenecks and streamlining the process from fuel charges to waivers, exactly how powerful the AI is that we've actually implemented into rec systems for automated search optimization and custom descriptions for, say, when you're loading a unit, you want to change out a sled, or you want to change out a boat, or you want to change out a scooter, whatever the case may be. How quickly the AI takes over and builds that description. I think that's a huge time saving tool for anybody that has a fleet, especially if it's evolving. Can you touch on that a little bit?
That's a great point, and so I'll summarize it with a term that's in the AI world that I absolutely love, and it's called human in the loop. So human in the loop is a concept where all of those things that you mentioned. So you bring on a new fleet, or you decommission something, or you have to communicate with a renter, or there's all of these loops in every business, and these loops may be big, they may be small, but if it's a loop, meaning that it's done multiple times, uh, that is prime for automation. And so the way that AI exists is that it can do most of the loop. However, as you've seen probably on the news and all of that kind of stuff, is you don't want it to fully take over the loop. You want to still have a human in that loop, but you want to minimize the amount of energy that human is putting forward. So whether that's brain energy, or actual typing on a computer, or just the time it takes, or whatever it is, you want to try to minimize that. And so with our software, so let's say someone uh, someone gets a new fleet of snowmobiles, and the traditional way of that loop, so we'll just go through that loop process. The old way was, you would get the fleet. You'd have to probably either have like your maybe like the staff, or your marketing team, or your outsourced uh, m- web person, or everyone has like their own way of getting their new products onto the website. But that whole process might take 2 weeks, or it might take hundreds of dollars every single time that you do it, or it doesn't get done at all, or depending on how well someone knows about search engine optimization or conversions, all of those things, it becomes this huge task, and it's a burdensome task, and it's no fault of their own. Like, when an organization takes on a fleet, they're not thinking about taking on this fleet and being like, okay, I got to write this web copy so our bookings are maxed out. They're thinking about how do we keep these engines running? How do we, like, there's so many other things to think about. Who cares about what the marketing is? But at the end of the day, everything, if nobody's finding it, nobody's renting it, then it's this downward spiral. And so with our software and with AI in general, the way that we've built it is that anything that is that loop, we're going to continually find those loops and minimize the amount of human time in that loop. And so, for instance, when you add a fleet, all you have to do is type in the make, the model, the engine, capacity, how many you have, and what you want to rent it for, essentially. And the system will take it from there. It'll go out, do all the keyword research. It'll go through and figure out the conversion, which is when someone's on the website, what is going to get them to actually click a button. Like, because if you just have people go to the website and they don't click the button, doesn't really matter. And so it's going to figure out all of that stuff automatically for you. And then as people book, then it's going to have the whole flow through that as well in terms of AI. So if you think about someone clicks book right now in a rental organization, they click book, and then they might get one email, or the office admin needs to send an email with some information. Then they have to chase down the waiver, and or maybe the PDF is just when they arrive, and then they have to sit there and read it for a half hour, and the whole process. Then they have some questions. They call. They take the office staff. Someone might be on the desk answering a call while there's two people wanting to rent a machine, and then those people leave because they're on a call, and it's just a complete mess. And AI through Rec Systems has solved all of that. In the human in the loop, like, we want just a minimal amount of human in the loop. We're not saying about getting rid of your star employees or anything like that. We're just allowing them to be empowered to do better things with their time. And that's what's super exciting about the software. And there's no one else in the market doing this kind of stuff. And we're so far ahead in terms of development. Like, the core of the software started being built like 10 years ago, during when IBM Watson was pretty big, and there was so many different technologies back then. But now it's increasing at this ever increasing pace, that we're gonna just continually automate these loops, and it's super exciting.
Yeah. So, real quick before I ask Marco a couple questions, I think what Brad's trying to say is saving time and streamlining. So, I was in the business my entire life, rental business, and I had an evolving fleet. So, I would get like 6 or 7 new boats, right, every year. And I would have to go into a Word doc, create a description, have it proofread, send it over to my webmaster, have them upload a photo, put in a description, and then hope and pray it was search optimized for Google to index so I could get at the top of my rankings. For me, I kind of have a background in fiddling around with e-commerce and things, so I knew what to put in for keywords. However, not everybody does. So it's nice to have a tool like the AI to go ahead and take that over and make sure that you're automated and you're search optimized and you're ready out of the gate to take on your competition and drive revenues. Now, talking about the I do have a question. What kind of confidence, Marco, are you seeing in people out there as far as when you're in the field and you're talking to your customers about the AI and you're in front of the UTV and boat rental and snowmobile rental companies? What's the feedback you're getting?
Every time I talk to someone about AI, in our industry, even in my other industry, they're very new to it. I'm pretty new to it. When you mention AI, they think it's just, like a keyword, like Brad was saying. They don't really know what's happening on the back end. They just think it's a robot telling you what to do. And they're not confident in it at all. When I start going through things and explain them, the search engine optimize and what AI is doing on the back end, they're starting to warm up to it. I think in the future, I my key point is, the fleet management's awesome. The search engine's awesome, but really at the end of the day, there's no more time in the day. There's not enough employees to do everything. Everyone's working, long hours. I think I want Brad to touch base on Rex, our co-pilot on the back end. There is a few companies out there that might bolt on AI on the back, but I want Brad to explain how Rex, on the back end is able to help every business that will sign up with us.
That's a great point, Marco, and that's so true. That it almost seems like every person that has yet to embrace AI has just not had their aha moment. Like once they have that aha moment of like, this is what it can do for me, like then it's game on. But it's really hard to have that aha moment because every single person has a different workflow, a different life, a different perspective on technology, and so it's all over the place of what that aha moment is. And so we have a AI, we call it Rex, the rental copilot, and AI is managing everything in the background. So if you think about a lot of these legacy companies that are doing booking engines, or even just like almost any company that's been around for a while that now is saying that they're all about AI, they're just bolting it on. So I think about it like a car. If you're gonna rebuild a 67 GTO, like which way would you want to do it? Like you just have the chassis and you kind of just find some aftermarket things and kind of bolt it on, or would you want to from the chassis up build everything exactly how you want it? And these traditional companies, they're kind of just finding like a spoiler, and they're like putting that spoiler on, and they find some like fake carbon fiber like um, hood vents, and that's kind of what the AI world is right now. There's very few companies, unlike that are like ours, where from the chassis up, everything is AI. Like literally everything that we can do with AI, we're doing at this point. And I really believe in the Wayne Gretzky quote of skating to where the puck is going, not to where it is right now. And so as the AI world evolves, it's just going to get more and more powerful. And so it's super exciting. And I'll give you an analogy or a story of about, let's see, this was 2016. There was, I lived out west at the time, and a company came to us and they needed to improve their onboarding flow. And this was before Rex, but it's very analogous to what we're talking about here. And so we worked with this company, and the office manager was spending about 5 hours a week taking all of these inbound requests. So it's very similar, but they were a cleaning company. And it wasn't a big cleaning company, but it was big enough where they had a decent amount of work every week trying to onboard new cleaning customers. And so they would go to this like Google form, and the prospect would fill out the form, and they would send it over to the office manager. The office manager would then draft an email, and then that email, then they'd hop on a call, and then it was just like this whole process that was so ripe for automation, where when they came to us and they said there's got to be a better way. And the way that we structured it was we created this custom form, and the form then had all of the calculations built into it. So if they selected 3 rooms versus 4 rooms, it knew that automatically, and it would automatically send an email with the quote. The office manager would get the notification as well. Then if they accepted the quote, it went right into a queue for the cleaning company or the cleaning crew to go take care of whenever it was scheduled. And so that whole thing went from 5 hours a week to zero. So that's 20 hours a month of manual work that went to zero. And within 6 months, they doubled their crews. They literally, within 6 months, doubled their business because they were able to eliminate all of that manual task. And so if you start thinking about it from the booking side of things, how many hours is the office manager or maybe your top talent spending on this, where like for us, we have Rex, the rental copilot, and Rex is going to continually do more and more of that mundane task in a way that it alleviates the staff or you or whoever is listening from all of those ridiculous routine processes that are really not vital to the long-term success, but those are those things that need to be done every week. And it's really fascinating once this automation gets in place and you have these AI copilots take over, just how mentally freeing it is and how much you'll grow the business.
Yeah. I also want to touch on Rex a little bit from a more simple perspective is its ability to train itself to your information on your website or your booking platform. It can take certain bits of information and it collects it. And so it can offer a 24/7 customer service base where if your customer is sitting in bed and they're like, oh, we have a snowmobile rental tomorrow. What should we bring on our snowmobile rental? And, most companies, that would be a phone call. And then that's just more office help and a lot of messing around. So they could type in and have a conversation and communicate with Rex and be like, what should we bring tomorrow? Rex will let you know what you need to bring, where you should meet, what time you should be there, dress warm. And that can really significantly cut down on phone traffic, which I noticed for the years that I was in the rental business can be extremely costly and can take up a lot of time. At one point, I remember I had 4 people and 4 rollover lines at my business. And I was like, wow, this is costing me a fortune. It's nice to be able to have that automated reservation process online and then have it powered not only with search optimization, which is going to drive revenue, but be able to actually offer 24/7 around the clock customer service. And that to me is a certain area with Rex and Rex Systems where we really shine. I don't see a lot of companies out there, if any, that can actually offer an accurate 24/7 customer service rental co-pilot. So that is what we have. And don't get me wrong, we're not just built like the AI that some of you might be thinking, where you go in and it's just all automated. Like you see these people doing these AI videos and they suck. Like, we're not that. We are humans that have used AI to make your experience better, to make your customers' user experience better. We've used it as a tool, but we are created by humans and we are backed by humans. And you're looking at us right now. So the AI is a tool for us to make things better on your end. That's the bottom line with that.
For sure. It's really interesting where this world is headed because all of those things that you had mentioned, as we um, as a society start implementing them, just everything is going to get better. And so the quicker the so everyone's going to want to implement this stuff. These co-pilots, the technical term are they're agents. And so there's going to be agents everywhere in the future. But the companies that embrace them the quickest are going to have such a huge competitive advantage. And so there's so much potential for the folks that start implementing it now versus I would say it's at this pace probably going to be like 5 years before like the laggards truly start embracing AI in a way that we're talking about. But anybody watching a video on YouTube about about power sports rental is probably a more advanced person to begin with. So this is the opportunity is there for innovation within within any organization.
Yeah, absolutely, Marco. So when you're building demos and you're showing, off the front end and the back ends to some of these companies out there, what really starts to boost like their confidence level in rec systems?
I think the first part is when we build the fleet. Like you're saying, AI helps us build the fleet, get great keywords, search engine optimized words. That takes a whole marketing staff to do it. They also ask, if I do get a new boat, what do I do? Well, on the back end, all you do is create a fleet. You basically put in what kind of boat, horsepower, how many people it has, and a picture, and it generates, that brand new boat into the fleet with a toggle of a button. That's one thing. The next thing would be the time slot issues. You try and figure out custom time slots for all of these rental companies, whether it's UTVs, snowmobiles, boats, jet skis. If you think about it, Rob probably knows because he's created a few demos. The whole time slot issue is I'd probably say 20 to 30 hours of work for the demos. The way we have it created, it's very simple time slot with pricing rules. The AI does pricing rules for holiday, surcharges or 30-day in advance discounts. Once I start showing people that on the back end, um, it their eyes light up and they just see the time they save doing that compared to who they're using right now. It's crazy. The
Yeah.
last thing would be that at the end of the booking process, Rex, the co-pilot, he's just very intelligent and it's all about their own business. It's not about the whole rental business as a whole. If they have a Yamaha Phaser in their fleet and it's a 500cc, and the customer is at home in bed wondering how much horsepower this Yamaha has, well, you can just ask Rex, hey, what kind of engine does this Yamaha Phaser have? Is it safe for my kid to ride? Is it safe for me to ride? 8 o'clock at night, Rex will text him back saying, here it is. So I think that's just the most impressive thing with our software.
Yeah. So I think what we're saying here is that our rental co-pilot Rex is built, trained, and specifically tailored for the power sports business. It's one of a kind, so it's pretty cool. Marco, I want to ask you one more question. What are your thoughts and what are your customers' thoughts on our final inspection report that we offer as we get to checking in our customers?
Yeah, the final inspection report was something that you guys brought up to me when I was first on board. I thought it was, a must have, but as I'm out in the field talking to these companies, the final inspection report really, really covers them full circle. It has pictures you can upload. It has the damages that, the end customer did do on the prop damage or, a ski damage or something like that. It helps these companies not have to go back and call these rental customers, hey, and by the way, you owe me, $300, $400 for whatever it is. I think, you know, having that final inspection report, having it done within, I'd probably say 3 to 4 minutes of the person checking the renter in, that's huge. Every company I've talked to, they've gotten burned on the back end with their employees not, being thorough about the inspection report, having to go back, charge these end customers, and then there's just a dispute. I know, Rob, you probably know firsthand a little bit about that, and that's why the final inspection report is the way it is.
Yeah. So what we're saying is that over and beyond automated search optimization, 24/7 customer service offered by Rex, the rental co-pilot, we hand picked and created a final inspection report. And how it works is it's a sheet about this big on the back end. It's going to build a specific ID card for your customer with his driver's license number. And it's there to prevent any challenges on chargebacks, especially when it comes to damage. It's also there to make sure that we're getting away from human error and lost revenue. And when I say lost revenue, more than others, I'm going to focus on fuel costs, right? So when your employees check in a unit and they're using the paper and they get lazy or they're busy and they forget to add in a fuel charge, and then you go to fuel the sled up and you look at the paperwork and you're like, oh, there's no fuel charge on here, but it just took 9 gallons. So you do that over and over again and it's going to start costing you money. The way we have it set up is you cannot check that unit in until you have your damage report filled out. And it's not a big area to fill out. It's real quick. It's a yes or no questionnaire and it's digitalized that you can just click on a toggle. You can upload before and after pictures so you're protected. Sled went out, wasn't damaged. Boat went out, it wasn't damaged. Came back, it's damaged. Here's the before and after. And that all saves to a file for you that you can access whenever you'd like. So if you have a customer that owes you $4,000 or $5,000 in damage and they run their card and then they try to perform a chargeback on you, that whole file can just be emailed right to your credit card company and they'll be able to take a peek at it and realize right away that you're going to win the chargeback. It's going to be extremely hard for somebody to win on their end if they're trying to juke you out of damage money or fuel costs. And it also relieves the embarrassment part of having to call these customers back and be like, oh, we missed this or we missed that. that always kind of puts a bad taste in the customer's mouth, and they might not ever come back. So this eliminates those types of situations that you deal with in the rental business, because it's not easy, it's challenging, and people make mistakes and they hit things. And whether it's a rock bar, or they flip a UTV, or hit a tree on a sled, the most important thing is that everybody's safe. But also, at the end of the day, as the company owner, you need to collect for those damages, because it doesn't grow on trees. So the final inspection report is specifically built for your interest in protecting your money and your business.
Absolutely, and I think that highlights basically what we're summarizing here is that when you look at from our side of things, our team dynamic. So I've been building AI software for a long time, a decade and a half or more, AI based software. Marco's in the field every single day, and Rob built and sold a successful boat rental business. And so all of these things that we're talking about here aren't just things that we're like, in the shower, like, oh, this would be cool to have. It's like specifically designed to address some issue that has already happened to one of us in terms of, for me, online marketing. There's these are the ways that you increase your search presence. Rob, I once had this issue with this one customer. Let's find the best way to never have that issue happen again. And Marco hears the war stories every day about, like, all the things that happen out with all the different customers out there. And so that combined knowledge is what is bringing it all together into the software, where we're going to continually be on the front line with these things, where the traditional company is probably just sitting in an office building somewhere in maybe out west or whatever, and they're just thinking about nice to haves, where what we're trying to build, and we have built for the most part, is a specific solution to cover every base of the rental process, from the second that people are interested in renting something, to finding it, them being a window shopper, converting them into a customer, and keeping them as a loyal fan. That whole spectrum is all handled by AI at this point, and it's really going to be the future of the way that people rent power sport vehicles going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's make it clear, okay? This software was built by industry professionals, okay? So when Brad talks about Marco being in the field, he's in this business. He's been in this business for 8 years. I was born into this business. We're not a big box company. We care about companies like yours growing, increasing revenue, staying in business, and being able to pay more bills and take more vacations. Um, that's what we're about. We are in the industry. We've always been in the industry, from building this product from the ground up to experiences that I've had when I'm about to lose my mind, and to like everything that Marco goes through every day out in the field talking to these people. So what Brad's saying is absolutely correct. This is specifically tailored with specific knowledge and experiences that have happened over the time, and then put into the software to make your life easier and more efficient.
All right. Well, on that note, I think we're going to sign off for the day. We are super excited to talk to you about your organization, and if you have any questions, go to recsystems.com, and we will be there to answer any questions you have. And we'd love to help you boost your business. So have a great day, and we will see you again next time.